Did anyone say Valentine's Day? Hey there and welcome to the Totally Fierce Crochet channel. My name's Thomas and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to nook those super awesome and super easy pot holders with heart pattern because it's the season of love. So our nooking journey continues with this beautiful hot pad or pot holder, and it's a special one because you will also learn how to create patterns by using just 2 stitches, the knit stitch and the purl stitch, or speaking of patterns, the garter stitch and the stockinette stitch. And just by playing around with it, you can create such beautiful patterns just like this super cute heart. In addition, I will also show you how you can create such a super beautiful and super clean border. It's a cool technique that I adapted from knitting, so it's another proof that you can do everything that you can do with knitting, also with nooking. But that's not all. We wouldn't be at the Totally Fierce Crochet channel without the free PDF in the description for you to download, including the full pattern or the full graph of the pattern to create this beautiful pot holder, some written instructions, and of course it's for lefties and for righties. So are you ready to nook some love? Let's go! So let's talk about the things you need. First up, make sure to download the PDF in the description where you will find the pattern and some written instructions for this pot holder. And of course it's divided in 2 pages, one for lefties and one for right-handed, so just in case you need it. It also has some written instructions there, which yarn to use and how to nook it and get the cast on, the corners, etc. But of course I'm going to show you how to make it in detail in this tutorial. Then of course you need some yarn. I'm using this rather chunky cotton yarn. It's DMC Natura XL Just Cotton. They say you would need a 6 to 7 millimeter crochet hook, so that is absolutely fine. If you don't have, or if you can't get such a chunky cotton yarn, you can still do this project by just using a thinner cotton yarn and then just double it up, or if you have a super fine cotton yarn, just triple the yarn and you can do the exact same thing. Then of course a nooking hook. I'm going to use a 6 millimeter nooking hook. Then as always a yarn needle to sew in those yarn ends in the end, and of course some scissors, and you're basically good to go. So I will leave this here so we can always have a look where we are, and I'm going to start with an I-cord, and it only has to be an I-cord of 21 stitches, so you don't need a lot of yarn on the side. If the I-cord is new for you, then I will quickly show you how to do that. So for the I-cord, you leave a longer yarn tail to the side, and then you make a slip knot first, like this, and then you take the yarn from the side yarn from the front over your hook, and then you take the yarn that goes to your yarn ball from the back over the hook, and then you drag that last loop through the 2 loops on your hook, and you just made your first I-cord element. And like this we need 21 in total, and I'll meet you at the end. Here we go, my I-cord of 21. And now we can start directly with row number 1. And as you can see, it doesn't matter if we start on the right or on the left. It always starts with a C, so that means it's a corner. And what we are also going to do is that we are only going to cast on our first row of stitches by this back loop right here. So where the yarn comes out from the last I-cord stitch, you are just moving the I-cord to the front, and then here you will have your first stitch, and then we go all along so that in the end we get this beautiful front part right here. So for the start, what we are going to do is we are going in this first loop, yarn over and pull the yarn through. And then we go along and do the same thing in each of the following stitches. And now the very last one is always going to be a little bit tighter. So what you can do is to grab that to get it out. And then we pull it through. And now if you have counted, we don't have 21, we have 22, because actually here we doubled it up, and this is only because of the corners. And once we go back, you will know exactly why I did this. So row 1 is done. We can now slide our work on the helper yarn. Now turn your work, and this is now where this beautiful corner comes from, because when we start the round, you just pick up that first loop, you don't do anything with it, and then you take your yarn, take it to the back, pull it over the hook, and store it behind your work, so that you have like basically a yarn over right after this first loop. And then we go directly into the next stitch that we have and make a knit stitch. So yarn over and pull the yarn through, and row number 2 is all knit stitches. So we do knit stitches until there are only 2 loops left, and this is then where I show you how to end the corner basically. I know this might be a little bit confusing, but trust me, it will make sense when you see it. It's only a bit difficult to explain. And also, don't worry if your yarn splits. Mine splits all the time. The bigger the cotton yarn, the more it splits. Sometimes I feel like it's a bit annoying as well, but oh well. Just gotta be careful and always making sure you get all of those yarn strands. And let's see where we are. So now we have 2 loops left, and to end the corner, I mean, here we just had this yarn over, so we are going to take our work on our helper yarn, not all the way, just for as long as you can turn your work, and then you grab your hook and pick up those 2 loops from basically the other side. So we are going in our work basically. So you have the 2 loops now on your hook. Then you take this, then you take your yarn and over the hook, And then we are just going to pull that through the 2 loops on the hook, and then we just let our hook slide through. And like this, we get this 2-sided corner. And now we can take our yarn or our helper yarn out, because with that row 2 was complete. We are now also going to push the helper yarn out a little bit, and now we can start row number 3, and we just pick the first loop, take the yarn to the back, from the back around our hook, and then we store it right behind our work, and then we pick up the next loop, and in this case also again the whole row with knit stitches. What you can memorize is that every uneven number of rows is an all knit stitch row. So this goes super fast. You don't have to think that much. You just have to stop 2 stitches before the end and start the corner like we just had it until you get the pattern. So this now is row number 3. And also the uneven rows are always like the front of the design. So 2 loops left. Again, I'm taking my hook out just a little bit so I can turn my work, and then I come from the other side, grab the 2 loops, put my working yarn over the hook, and just pull it through, and then let my hook slide through, and here we go. Now we can again release the helper yarn. Like that. And we can continue. This is row number 4. Row number 4 is again a full knit stitch round. And again, we take the yarn to the back, yarn it over the hook, store it in the back, and then go into the very first loop, or into the next, and then go into the second loop, and then just do knit stitches. And again 2 loops in the end. So we take the hook out a little bit, turn your work. You can also take the yarn end to push it a little bit up, so you can grab those 2 loops a little better, and then the yarn over your hook and just pull it through, and then slide that hook back up. And we can take out the helper yarn. Because now we can already start with row number 5, and row number 5 is again 1 full knit stitch round. So again, you take the yarn, put it to the back, wrap it around your hook, and then just go to the next stitch and make your first knit stitch. And as you can see, it creates really like this super beautiful and super clean border that looks quite nice on both sides actually. So I definitely had to incorporate that. and 2 loops left. Again, put the yarn, take the hook out and grab those 2 loops, put the yarn over and pull it through the 2 loops and slide the hook through. As you can see, with only 21 stitches, the rounds get super fast, because now we are already at row number 6, and for row number 6, the first 2 and the last 2 stitches are knit stitches, and all the ones in between are purl stitches. So we are basically finished here with this border part, and now we are going to make the stockinette stitch in the center. And if you have watched my Knooking 101 videos, for example, or the Nudie tutorial, then you also know how to make the purl stitches, but I will show you once I'm there. First, we make our corner. So take the yarn to the back, wrap it around your hook, and then just go into the next stitch. And as I mentioned before, we have 2 knit stitches first, and then we basically have 15 purl stitches. And for the purl stitch, you take the yarn to the front, you take your hook and grab the next loop from the side, and then twist your hook around, and then yarn under and pull it through. I'll show it again. You go from the side, grab the loop, twist your hook, and then yarn under and pull it through. I know in the beginning it's always a little bit tricky, but the more you make, the easier it gets. And I'm also making these purl stitches a bit tighter, just so that it holds everything a bit more together and it doesn't get too flowy and too soft. So now we have to watch out. The two last loops here are for our corner. Then we have 2 stitches for the knit stitch. So we have one more stitch or one more purl stitch. So those should be the 15. And now we take the yarn to the back and make the next 2 knit stitches. And then row number 6 is already done, so we can take the hook out a little bit, and then we can work our corner. And slide the hook through. Because row number 7 is going to be super easy, because it's one full round of knit stitches. But first, the corner to the back, over the hook. It's the last time I'm telling you this. You probably should now be able to make it without my help. And then have knit stitches all along row number 7. And now you can already see the stockinette stitch coming out. And now we are at row number 8, which is the same. 2 knit stitches, 15 purl stitches, 2 knit stitches. Then row number 9 is all knit stitches. And I will see you for round 10 to show you what to do where we break up the purl stitches. And from there I let you go. And I'll meet you in the middle of row number 10. So I'm at row number 10. I just made my first 2 knit stitches right here. Now I need 7 purl stitches and then 1 knit stitch and then 7 purl stitches. So first the 7 purl stitches. And this will then also be the starting of the heart pattern. So as you will see, we are building the heart pattern basically every second row. One, two, three, four, five, six. One more. 7. And now to switch from purl to knit, we just take the yarn to the back, grab the next loop and knit stitch, and then we take it back to the front and continue with purl stitches. And this is how you then create the heart in the center. Two stitches left. By now you're quite familiar with the border. Help a yarn out. And here now you can also see where this purl stitch comes through. It's right our peak. And from there you can just continue along the pattern to create the heart. And I will meet you basically at the end to cast off your work, which goes very easy. And then we are also going to add the little hanger and finish it off. So have fun. Happy nooking. Now row number 11, an even number, all knit stitches. So that one's easy, and see you later. So here we go. Row 36 is done, and we can now cast it off. And we do this by making slip stitches, and the first one we just slip stitch through the hook, through the loop on our hook, and then we go into the next loop, yarn over, pull it through and slip stitch, and like this we go all along. And when we only have the 2 loops left, we are just going to slip stitch through both of them like this. And now we can start adding the hanger, and for that we are going to chain 12. And once you have the chain, then we are going to connect it in the first back bump of our chain by just making a slip stitch. And then we are going to yarn over and pull it through. Now we can cut the yarn and just pull the yarn through the loop. And now we can also take out the help yarn. This we don't need anymore, because now the only thing left would be to hide our end yarn. So we take the yarn needle and put the end yarn on, and then I'm going to just take that yarn end in, and I will just go through the side all along. And then what I usually do is at some point turn and then just go back for a few stitches just so that it really is secure. That shall do. And then we can cut it. And now all I have to do is to take in that last piece of yarn. Again, I'm taking it on the back side in. And the hot love pad is done. You can, of course, stretch it out a little bit, or you can even block it. That is completely up to you. Personally, I think it works like this. And of course, make 2 of them so you have a set that you can use as a gift for Valentine's Day with the 2 little hearts. Now who's ready to spread some love? Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you will have fun nooking this super fabulous pot holder, or hot love pad as I called it. And I hope to see you back again next time only at the Totally Fierce Crochet channel. The next tutorial will come very soon actually, because you will get a double feature this week, especially for Valentine's Day. And the next time, of course, will be then for crochet. And until then, happy nooking! Bye! Spread the love! Thank you so much for watching. I hope you will have fun nooking this super beautiful hot love pad pot holder. Thank you so much for